Hey guys, happy Tuesday! Today we are going to read chapters 4 and 5 of I Survived the Shark Attacks of 1916. And I want you to focus on point of view as we read today. So something's going to happen towards the end of 4 and during chapter 5 that we're really going to be able to focus on Chet's point of view. So I want you to think about that as you listen today. So remember, point of view is the perspective. That's who's telling the story. We have first person, second person, third person point of view. But in 5th grade, we really focus on how somebody's point of view, how the author or the speaker, how their perspective changes the story. So I want you to really focus on Chet's point of view as we read today, okay? Set my phone up for you. Okay, so yesterday we read about Chet making friends with Dewey, Sid, and it starts with an M. I want Monty? Is that his name? Yes, Monty. So Dewey, Sid, and Monty, he's making friends with them. He's working at the diner, and Captain Wilson told him that story about the shark, and they didn't believe it. Okay? Chapter 4. Remember to focus on Chet's point of view. The next week was so hot, horses were fainting up and down Main Street. By Thursday, the temperature inside the diner was 102 degrees, but Chet didn't mind the heat. Something amazing had happened that day. The guys had invited Chet to go swimming with them at the creek. All week they'd been coming into the diner earlier and earlier, and then sticking around even after they'd wolfed down their donuts. "You ever seen the Pacific Ocean?" Sid had asked one day. "Sure," Chet said. "What's it look like?" Monty asked. Chet took a minute to picture it. He didn't want to disappoint the guys. Remember, they're in New Jersey, so they're on the Atlantic Ocean. Their coast is the Atlantic Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is the other side of the United States. A little bluer than the Atlantic, waves a little bigger maybe, but otherwise just lots of water and waves. They all seemed satisfied. "How about the Mississippi River?" Dewey had asked the next day. "You seen that too?" Chet told them it was wide and muddy. "I was on a steamboat that got stuck in the mud," Chet said. "We had to stay there for a whole day and night." That impressed them all. "You're the luckiest kid I know," Sid pronounced. "Me?" Chet said. "Sure," Monty said, "to see all those places." "I don't know," Chet said. "I hate moving around so much." Hearing those words startled Chet. He felt that way, but he'd never said it out loud. Not even to Uncle Jerry. He hoped the guys didn't think he was belly aching. That means he was complaining. "Hey, why don't you ever come down to the creek?" Sid said. "We're always looking for you there," Monty said. Chet tried to hide his surprise. "It's not the Pacific Ocean," Dewey said, "but it's pretty nice." "I hear it's better than the Pacific," Chet said. The guys all laughed. "Why don't you come today?" Sid said, and of course Chet said he would meet them after work. Uncle Jerry drew Chet a little map so he wouldn't get lost. A dotted line to the end of Main Street, and then behind the tile factory, down a steep hill and across a path. Chet made it to the bottom of the hill, and for a second he thought he was lost. He couldn't see the creek, just tall golden grass, but then he could hear shouts and splashing. He walked through the grass and into a clearing. The guy's dusty trousers, pants, and shirts were laid across some low branches. 3 pairs of scuffed-up boots were tumbled across the dirt. And just beyond, there was the creek. The guys were right. It wasn't much, maybe 20 feet across. He couldn't tell if it was deep enough to dive, but it was nice and shady, and at that moment there was no place on earth that Chet would rather be. "Hurry up," Dewey shouted. "The water's perfect." Chet threw his clothes off and climbed up onto the broken-down rock dock. "Jump," Sid said. With a running leap, Chet launched himself into the air. Whoosh! The cool water rose up around him. All of his worries washed away. The guys gathered around him. Dewey threw a pink rubber ball high into the air. "Chet, catch," he said. Chet squinted up into the sun and miraculously caught the ball. "Here," Sid yelled. jumping up and waving his hands. Chet threw the ball, straight enough, like Uncle Jerry had taught him. Sid made a clean catch. They played ball, then they took turns jumping off the dock and chasing each other back and forth across the creek. When they got tired of swimming, they sat on the bank under a big elm tree. Dewey's mother had packed them 3 big molasses cookies, and the guys fought over who could share with Chet. "So," Sid said, "you like it here okay?" "The creek's nice," said Chet with a mouthful of cookie. "No, Elm Hills," Monty said. "You think you'll be staying a while?" said Dewey. Chet swallowed hard. Just the day before, he'd gotten a letter from Mama. "We have a nice apartment with a room just for you," she wrote. "I think Papa is going to have some good luck this time." "I hope," he said. The guys all nodded. "Minnie Martson's sweet on you," Dewey said. "Really?" Chet squeaked. "Sure," Monty said, sounding a little jealous. "She told my sister. That means she likes him." They sat there a while, talking about Minnie and Uncle Jerry's no-hitter in the high school finals of 1908. Then Sid stood up and dove back into the water. They all followed him. Sid went swimming down the creek, and Chet played ball with Dewey and Monty. He and Monty tossed the ball back and forth a few times. "Dewey," Chet yelled, ready to throw the ball. But Dewey didn't look at him. He was looking at something downstream. He had a strange look on his face. And then Chet saw it too. A gray triangle sticking up through the water, heading right for Dewey. What was that? It looked like the fin of a giant fish. Was it... "Do you think it's a shark?" He shook his head. His eyes were playing tricks on him. A shark in the creek was impossible. He even tried to laugh. His mind must be messed up because of the captain's story. But the fin was getting closer to Dewey. Faster, faster, closer, closer. "Dewey!" Chet shouted. But it was too late. There was a huge splash, and then Dewey disappeared. That's the end of chapter 4. Alright, so I really want you to get into Chet's mindset right now. Think about how he's feeling and what he is thinking during all this, okay? Chapter 5. Chet ran screaming out of the water. "Dewey! Dewey!" He made it to the bank and searched the water for Monty and Sid, but they were gone too. They'd been eaten. Chet was the only one left. He was about to run up to Main Street for help, but then Dewey came up sputtering. "You idiot," Dewey said, looking around. "You kept me under too long. That wasn't the plan." Who was Dewey talking to? And what did he mean about a plan? Sid came up out of the water, gasping for breath. Where was the shark? And why was Sid laughing? "We got you," Sid shouted at Chet. He held something up. A chipped gray tile. The fin. Uh-oh. I think they played a trick on him. Chet's head started to spin. He felt like he might throw up. They'd tricked him. Monty was standing on the back of the other side of the creek. "I can't believe you fell for that," he laughed. Chet couldn't talk. His heart seemed to be stuck in his throat. Why would they do that? "You should have heard yourself," Monty shouted. "You screamed so loud. Your mama probably heard you all the way in California." Chet's cheeks were bright red. His hands were shaking. How could he have thought these guys wanted to be his friends? They just wanted someone to pick on. That was the only reason they'd invited him to the creek. Chet grabbed his clothes and got dressed. "Hey," Sid yelled. "Don't be sore." What do you think that means? Don't be sore. Yeah, it means like, don't be a poor sport. Like, we're just having fun. They all scrambled out of the water and ran over to him. "We were just joking around with you. We didn't mean to scare you so bad. We always do pranks." But Chet wasn't listening. His heart was pounding and his cheeks burned. He laced up his boots, stood up, and stormed away. All right, so Chet is not happy about the prank, is he? He does not think that it was very funny. Well, the boys, Monty, Dewey, and Sid, they were like, we're just playing around. It's just a prank. So think about each boy's point of view. Chet is angry, and he's not happy about it. Dewey, Sid, and Monty, they knew that they were just playing a prank, harmless prank. So depending on whose point of view, is that influencing the story? Absolutely. So Monty, Dewey, and Sid understand that they were just trying to be funny, that they didn't mean to actually hurt Chet's feelings or embarrass him. But Chet, he just feels embarrassed. He said his cheeks were burning. That means, I just picture his cheeks bright red, and that he's very embarrassed and angry and upset about it. So, from his point of view, they were being mean. He thinks that they're not really his friends and that they were being mean to him. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that they were just playing a harmless prank on a friend, or do you think they were being mean and kind of bullying him a little bit? Tell me what you think on Google Classroom. Comment on the post. And if you haven't written your story yet, make sure you watch yesterday's video and write your story on Seesaw. There's a spot for you to type it. You can type it on a notepad, or you can type it on a Google Doc and then upload it right on Seesaw. Okay? All right, guys. See you tomorrow.